All right. Now we'll head on over to Facebook. That should work okay. We shall see, we shall see. I was responding to a post that my oldest daughter put up. Okay. Oh dear. Okay. Interesting. I've decided I'm going to try something today. Last week I felt really awkward. Not once I got into it, but doing the lesson first, because it is 17 minutes, and many of the people who will view this have already seen that and know that information, probably are already even using it in their lives. So today I'm going to put it at the end and start with a couple of past lessons that I've done. Like, this would have been almost 2 years ago. So some people will be familiar with them and most will not. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, here's the first thing I'm going to share. Oh, good. I was going to read the slide, but not till it reappears. Which will hopefully be quickly. Anyway, so I will put the lesson on the one rule, the kind of introductory lesson that I've created. I will put it at the end of this show today. This was step 7 on trusting, which dictates how and all that we must conquer as we grow up. This is a name given to whatever it is that ensures that we go through certain processes that help us do that. And we all go through them basically the same time period. So it's like there's a developmental blueprint. There must be something like that. Otherwise, we'd all be different, really different. This developmental blueprint, with its inner motivation, ensures that a child masters certain abilities. A child must do what their blueprint dictates. Here is the one rule: to raise happy kids and to be happy yourself. Make sure that all involved agree with each decision. I know it sounds too simple. It is simple. But this is how I raised my kids once I decided never to force them to do what they did not want to do. This was how I treated the kids I worked with. For short, the one rule equals agreement. And here are beliefs that support the one rule. We are each important. We each deserve to feel good. There is a way to find agreement. You don't have to accept these beliefs to be able to use the one rule. But as you use the one rule, you discover that you are using them. Just as you discover that you trust your kids, even if you did not start out trusting them and their decisions. Using the one rule automatically brings about trusting and trustworthiness. Benefits of trust. Trusted children develop into trustworthy children. It is so exciting to trust children and to have them prove that your trust in them was warranted. Perhaps not the first try or even the third, but then how often among humans is the first try the only one needed to achieve competency? As you watch for it and expect to see evidence of trustworthy behavior, you see it more and more. Trustworthy kids are a joy. You know they've learned a lot about what's good for them and what's not. Also, since you trust them, they can't help but trust your good judgment and come to you easily when they need help. Steps toward trusting. What if you are afraid to trust your child's judgment? Oh, I just felt like telling you that a lot of this information is available in my first and second book. As far as I know, the second one is available on Amazon, and I think the first one is too. But if you want a copy of the original first, you have to, you can get it on my happykidsco.com website. It's not set up on the happykidsco.org yet, but I think this is inspiring me to set those kinds of things up there. Okay. What if you're afraid to trust your child's judgment? You may have good reasons for this. However, you can move from where you are to where you want to be, trusting them. And where you want to be is trusting them because they've proven themselves trustworthy. You could start with small, safe situations. Discuss this process with them. Tell them you want to be able to trust their decisions. Make sure they agree that this is a good idea. Use the one rule. Now you can both learn what you need to learn. They can learn to be trustworthy, and you can learn to trust them. It's good for both of you to practice. Keep this going. It might be more effective, though it might be more difficult for you, to start with something that means a lot to your child. Discuss it thoroughly. Make sure you both understand how you want it to go. They are likely to make their greatest efforts to be successful if it is something they really want to happen. Eventually, you'll be able to trust them, and they'll prove themselves worthy of that trust. Then, even if things don't go as you both intended, you'll both know that they've done their best to be trustworthy, and there's no reason to stop trusting them. Here are a couple of stories about situations that taught me some lessons about trusting kids. The first lesson taught me that trusted kids live their truth. I call this the roof jumper. At Children's House, our Montessori preschool, we had a low shed over the tricycles to protect them from the weather. One day, one of the 4 or 5-year-old boys figured out how to climb on the roof and was getting ready to jump off. I rushed over to him to stop him. He told me that he did this at home all the time. I decided to trust him and stood by to be available. He did fine. Other boys came over to join in. One tried and decided against it. More than one boy decided not to climb up and jump. A few did. No one got hurt. They all got to be trusted with something very challenging, and they all got to make the right decision for themselves. In the poison oak lesson, I learned that sometimes trusting is the only choice that makes any kind of sense. One of my assistants at Children's House walked with a small group of kids to take a couple of them to the school bus out on the main road. When they got back, she told me that while she was getting the kids on the bus, one of the little girls had convinced the other kids to pick poison oak leaves and rub themselves with the leaves. The girl told the others that nothing would happen to them. I panicked. I wished that we had a bathtub so they could all be washed, but we didn't. I began washing one child's hands and arms and realized that this was an impossible task. We had a tiny child-sized sink and there were about 6 kids. I decided that if they believed that nothing was going to happen, I would believe that too. I would trust their decision. That's what I did, and nothing came of it. No cases of poison oak. Okay. Let's see if we can get easily to the next show here. Okay. So far, so good. An aspect of trust that we did not address at all last week. That's the one we just saw. This is the next week. Is what trust means to us. So here are some of my thoughts on trusting others. Trusting someone means that you believe that you can find agreement with them. You believe in their decisions and actions. Trust also means believing that someone is speaking the truth of their experience and understanding. It has been said that if there are 15 witnesses to an incident, there will be 15 different stories about what happened. It can help to remember this when you consider judging whether someone is speaking the truth. Last week's show ended with the awareness that there was an aspect of trust that I had not covered in last week's talk. And that is the child believing in and trusting their parents. Someday I just covered the child becoming trustworthy so that their parents can believe in them. However, since the adult is the example, the model for their kids, trust between kids and adults starts there. Because of our last week's theme, trust, and ending the show with people wanting more, trust has been a theme that has floated in and out of my mind during this past week. The two primary aspects have been kids trusting the adults in their lives, and then the adults trusting themselves. First, kids trusting adults. As I think about it, it must be built into children to trust their parents, as love between parent and child seems built in for survival. Doesn't that make sense? When we are babies, we are entirely dependent on the adults in our lives to help us survive and hopefully thrive. Think of how much we can't do for ourselves. In any case, it seems that when we are babies and small children, we have no option but to trust. One awareness that has just come to me is that however much we trust our parents, trusting our parents does not take priority over trusting our developmental blueprint. What we need to do to ensure our developmental progress toward adulthood takes priority over what our parents might want us to do or not do. This is shown clearly in babies who can't yet talk or walk, but still do things that their parents do not want them to do. In fact, they might even insist on doing certain things. It seems that the most powerful trust we have as a child is in following our developmental blueprint. In terms of trusting the adults in our lives, it seems that we do trust them as long as they do not go against what we are inspired to do by our developmental blueprint. For example, as a baby, we are inspired to touch things and put them in our mouths. That is a valuable way for us to learn about things. Often our parents do not want us to put things in our mouths and try to stop us. Some even hit us, hoping that hurting us will make us stop, but it doesn't. So it seems that adults becoming trustworthy to kids becomes an issue when parents try to force kids to go against what the kids are inspired to do. Perhaps the best we can do is to help them do what they are inspired to do. Or maybe we can even encourage them and give them opportunities to go in the direction their developmental blueprint is guiding them. Maybe we are not here as their guides, just as examples and helpers, and to love them and be loved by them. In this process of trusting, it seems that the one rule takes care of the whole issue. The one rule, agreement, not only helps people develop trust in themselves and trust in others who practice the one rule. You can use it even if you don't already believe in yourself or your kids. Practice the one rule and get the wonderful results that come from using the one rule. Following your interests, harmony, getting what you want without having to fight for it, even trusting, believing in yourself. The other aspect of trusting that has come to me this week is adults trusting themselves, their thoughts, their decisions, and their actions. I'm calling it believing in yourself, and it seems very important. In fact, as a model of how to live, it seems critically important, not to mention it is essential for personal thriving. Now, a third aspect of trust has appeared, which is a primary goal of trusting. Kids growing up, trusting themselves so they can thrive. The two stories I told you last week, the roof jumper and poison oak, well, for us, it was this, this very same session, were used as examples of an adult, me, trusting kids, but they are also examples of kids trusting themselves. In the roof jumper, those kids who thought they could do the jump did, and those who did not think they could didn't. Both groups were exercising belief in themselves toward a successful end. In Poison Oak, all of the kids believed in their decision to try what their friends suggested. They also had successful outcomes. The following story demonstrates that kids can be trusted with control over many aspects of life that adults often assume they cannot handle. As Bob Schwartz points out in his book, Diets Don't Work, they can even be trusted to choose the food they eat. This is his story. I once read of an experiment in which children suffering from malnutrition were put into a room filled with food. There were all kinds of delicious things to eat, including sweets and candy. And in the corner, there was a kettle of gruel. The gruel wasn't as appetizing as the rest of the food, but it was loaded with all the nutrients the children's bodies lacked. The children were told they could have anything they wanted, and almost without exception, they headed for the gruel. They couldn't get enough of it. Okay, that's it for this because okay, I think what I'm going to do is stop the share. Okay, because that's the end of that slideshow anyway. And we'll stop this one. We'll do the other one after. Okay. I'm going to pull up the next thing. And then we'll get back to the screen share. Okay, that should work. I'm so glad I got taught about how to do this. Okay. Screen, share the screen. Now click share. All right. Okay, now when I pulled up these stories to do for today, what was it? No, when I chose the lessons, I didn't realize that the next stories that I was going to share, oh dear, I didn't warm this thing up, so that the next stories I was going to share were on the same theme of trusting. I was like, yes. I don't know about you, but whenever things work out well the way I would like them to, I just feel all happy and excited about it. Especially if it's just something that appears and it's not something I deliberately set up and looked for and found and all of that. I mean, I like that too, but this is a lot of fun for me. Okay, so last week I went over some of the stories before this that I had gathered from my first book. They were to show examples of, well, now it's the one rule. Then it was the power of respect. And it's basically the same thing, but the one rule is more clear cut, which to me makes it stronger, more powerful. But all that the power of respect is built into the one rule, but in a simple, clear way. Okay, so so here are the next stories. Okay, cut the curfew. I called this family meeting because Dad said he wants me to be home by 9 on school nights and by 11 on the weekends. I think this needs to be worked out with the three of us so we all feel good about the decision. And I don't feel good about Dad's decision. How would you like it to work, Clara? I want to be able to come home whenever I want. Well, Claire, I'm afraid that if I don't set some kind of curfew, you won't get enough sleep, and that can cause lots of trouble. You could be tired in school and not be able to concentrate. You could get run down and sick. You could be a grouch to live with, maybe even worse. Well, even if I'm home by 9 on school nights and 11 on the weekends so that I get enough sleep, I don't want to have to do it because of some rule. I want to do it because I think it is the best thing for me to do. Well, that sounds good in theory, but I'm not sure it's really going to work out satisfactorily. Dad, you have to trust me. I'm growing up and I need you to trust me. I'll let you know where I am when I'm not home, but I don't want a curfew. Dennis, that's just what we were talking about last night. An area of weakness in our being a harmonious family and using the one rule. We need to come to agreements and we need to trust each other. Yeah, I see what you mean, Joan. You're right. Claire, I do need to trust you. It's just hard for me not to worry about you. But you're right, that won't help anything. Since I'm not going to ride in your pocket, I have to trust you. Okay, I think I can live with you not having a curfew, but I really need you to keep in touch with us when you're not at home and let us know where we can reach you. There might be times when I can't reach you to let you know. Just do your best, Clara. That's usually good enough. That's when we get extra practice in trusting. That's right, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom. I'm going over to Lorene's. Her number is in the back of our phone book. I finished my homework. I won't be back late. Dennis speaks up. Just a minute. Let's have another meeting next week so we can check on how this is going for all of us. Dennis, I think 1 week isn't long enough to give this thing a try. Let's make it 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks. Take care of yourself, Clara. Don't worry, Dad. See you soon. Okay, next story. Trusting each other and getting it done. The family is packing up to go on a vacation. Just a moment, I'll be right back. The mother, Andrea, wants to leave within an hour before road work starts on the state highway, before road work on the state highway begins. There are several unforeseen last-minute items that must be attended to. She focuses on taking care of business. The youngest daughter, age 7, seems to be dawdling. She has agreed to wash up, get dressed, eat breakfast, and gather a few special toys that she forgot to pack yesterday. Her mother knows that she has not washed up, nor gotten dressed, nor eaten breakfast. Maybe she's gathered the toys. Andrea looks in her daughter's room. Sarah is sitting on the floor playing with toys. Andrea does not want to spend twice as long in the car just because they start late, especially when she has planned to avoid this. Sarah, did you forget to wash up, get dressed, eat breakfast, and pack the toys you said you had forgotten? No, Mom, I'll do that when I'm done with this. I'd like you to start now, because if we don't leave in 50 minutes, we will have to wait in the car for a very long time while people work on the road. I don't want to do that. I really don't. So please get ready. But Mom, when I was getting my toys, I found this little set that I lost a long time ago. I really want to play with it. Let's bring it along too. Okay, I'll hurry and get ready. Thanks so much, Sarah. I really appreciate your cooperation and that you're sticking to our agreement. Andrea wanted to help Sarah feel good about herself, even though she may have been feeling anxious about getting on the road. When Andrea realized that Sarah had a new agenda and did not fully understand her mother's need for speed, she told Sarah why she wanted to leave soon. Andrea gave her the opportunity to cooperate and to stick to their agreement. When Sarah let her mother know that she has a need that needed fulfilling, her mother offered a suggestion. Since Sarah is used to trusting her mother and being trusted by her, it was easy for her to accept the suggestion. This allowed her to cooperate. She felt her needs were being met. Her mother expressed her appreciation for Sarah's cooperation, knowing that behavior that is appreciated tends to be repeated. All of these are results of using the one rule. Okay, let's see. We might get a chance to do grocery shopping, but right now I'm going to stop this share. So those were the two stories about trusting. The other one is too, but right now I'm going to do the lesson on the one rule. Okay. Now I'll do another screen share. I had to pull it up first. That's something I learned. Okay, there it is. This would have been the starting for today. Huh. It should be one click, but it was two. I'm going to start this with this anyway, because it is today's. Welcome to Karen Ryce's Raising Happy Kids Zoom show, episode 92, Creating Harmony Using the One Rule. During this 1-hour Zoom show, I focus on sharing tips and lessons on the one rule to raising happy kids. Each episode has at least one example of the one rule in action, demonstrating how it helps you raise a happy child. Then, when we have guests, we have Q&A and discussion. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the one rule. The one rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the one rule means you find agreement. That's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You found agreement. You found harmony. Knowing and following the one rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the one rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, it's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. The one rule, start strong. You have decided that you really want harmony with your child. That sounds so good, right? Everyone feeling good and getting along. You have decided that you do not want to make your child do what they do not want to do. And you do not want to do what you do not want to do. And you are going to make this work. You have decided that you want to use the one rule to make this happen. This is going to become your new habit. You remember that when you use the one rule, you are sharing the following messages with your kids. I want us all to be happy. We are each important. Together, we can solve our problems. I believe in you. I love you. To create this new habit, you're going to start with yourself and what you want. You decide that you're going to let how you feel about a situation determine whether you agree with it or not. If it feels good, then you can agree with it. If not, you cannot. Think about a situation. Ask yourself, is this situation okay with me just as it is? If yes, your work on that is done. If no, what would have to change, be different, so that I could feel good about it? Maybe several versions of this situation would feel fine with you, maybe only one. This exercise, this practice, helps you make a habit of following the one rule. No matter what age your kids are, this exercise helps ensure a strong start and makes following the one rule so much easier. Here is an understanding that might make following the one rule even easier. Recently, I asked myself a question. What do I want people to feel when they are connecting with my work? I definitely want them to feel good about themselves. Then the following answer appeared, to my surprise and delight. I want people to realize that they are already using the one rule. That understanding surprised me, and as more and more of it was revealed to me, it delighted me. Of course, people are already using the one rule. I am not teaching them anything that they don't know. I'm not teaching them anything strange to them. I'm just helping them expand their use of something they use daily without thinking about it. They use it. You use it. Every time you come to a decision inside of yourself, you're using the one rule. Most likely you had to consider several options or possibilities to reach that decision, like what you're going to have for breakfast or which outfit you're going to put on. Even if it just took you a few seconds for you to agree with yourself, that is what I want. You also use the one rule whenever you agree with someone else. Together, you come to a decision, an agreement. Yes, tomorrow I'll go to the auto parts store after I get my nails done. Even with your kids, you're using the one rule. You're coming to agreements. Think about it. Of course you are. You are just not thinking of it as a rule, as something required. So at times, you are not coming to agreement. I am here to help you think of coming to agreement as required, as a rule, as the one rule. You just expand the situations where you come to agreement until coming to agreement is just what you do and your kids do. It is the rule you and your kids follow. It feels to everyone involved. One point to be clear on is that even if a situation seems complicated and it seems that it is impossible to find a solution that everyone involved can feel good about, it is still possible. An important thing to remember is that there is a way for things to work so that everyone involved gets to feel good. Keep that in mind. This has been my experience whenever I have made this effort. A clear, helpful way to introduce using the one rule to your kids actually originates from the first time the children introduced me to what is now the one rule. You can do what I did. So they could understand what we were doing. I told the two little girls 3 things. 1, you are each important. Point to each person involved. You are important, and you are important. And if it is your problem, 2, I am important. 2, you or we each deserve to feel good. 3, we are going to use the one rule to help this happen. Then tell them what the one rule is. When you actually start working with your kids using the one rule, helping them follow their interests is one of the easiest ways for you to start. That makes sense, right? It is also one of the most beneficial things you can do for your kids. Why is it good for your kids to do what interests them? One primary reason is that their interest is a key to helping them become the best versions of themselves that they can become. When we do what interests us, we are very engaged and focused. Think about doing something that interests you. When we are engaged and focused, what we do and produce tends to be of much better quality than if we were not interested. Interest helps result in excellence. An even more important result of being engaged and focused is that our whole being is involved in what interests us. That is why we are engaged and focused. We are experiencing harmony, inner harmony. That is a good reason to allow and encourage our kids to do what they are interested in doing. I have observed children doing what really interests them, and they become peaceful, harmonious people, even if they were not before. Now, it does not mean that everything that interests our kids is going to always interest them. They may be interested for 10 minutes or 10 days or 10 years or even a lifetime or even for their lifetime. The point is that they are following their interests, not the specific thing or experience that interests them, or the length of time it interests them. So if they ask for your help, please help your kids follow their interests. If for any reason you really do not want to do what they are asking you to do, that is a perfect time to use the one rule. Another reason for helping your kids follow their interests is one that is taking care of you too. When they are eager to do something, instead of resisting doing it, you do not have to encourage them to do it or insist that they do it, let alone force them to do it. Think of how much of your time and energy could be available for you to use as you wish. Helping them follow their interests is actually the one rule in action, taking care of you and your kids. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Now, we can stop this screen share. And I think we can get easily to the last story, which also has to do with trust, but in a different way. This has to do with trusting a small child, following their developmental blueprint. This might be something you might do if you have a toddler, 2-year-old, okay? Grocery shopping. Probably you do grocery shopping. Marta was so glad to be getting to the market early in the day. There were guests coming for dinner, and now she would be sure to get everything ready in time. Bodhi, a toddler, had been very cooperative, not resisting anything she wanted to do. Marta was very grateful, knowing how difficult this would be if he were not willing to go along with her plans. While she was filling bags with bulk grains and putting them in the cart, Bodhi started to climb out of the cart seat. Bodhi, please sit down. I'm almost done here. Then I want to push the cart to a different aisle. Down, ow. He continues what he's doing. Marta thinks to herself, oh dear, how frustrating. I guess it's really good that I got an early start. Here, Bodhi, I'll help you out. I don't want you to fall and hurt yourself. Bodhi runs over to the bins. He opens one full of hulled sunflower seeds. He starts to grab some. Bodhi, here, use this scoop. Let's not touch these with our hands. It can get the food dirty. I'll get a bag and you can put some in the bag. Marta quickly grabs a large bag and holds it at the edge of the bin. Now you can scoop some seeds into the bag. Be careful and make sure the seeds go into the bag. She guides the scoop into the bag when its contents threaten to be dumped on the floor. Bodhi scoops and scoops. Then he carries the scoop to another bin. This one is filled with pinto beans. Marta gets another large bag. Bodhi scoops many pounds of beans into the bag. Then he goes to a bin of flour. Bodhi, look, here's some peanuts. Come scoop the peanuts. His mother holds a bag for him to scoop some peanuts, choosing something else she needed at home. Bodhi, I would like to go now. I have lots of work to do at home. Bodhi runs over to the rice bin. Dis, mommy, dis. Okay, Bodhi, scoop some rice. But then I want to go somewhere else in the store. I have more things to buy. After Bodhi is done scooping the rice, Bodhi, let me show you where to put the scoop. Then you can help me with the rest of the shopping. After Bodhi puts the scoop away, Marta starts to pick him up and put him in the cart, but he squirms out of her hands. She takes a large bag of oat cereal off the shelf. If you don't want to ride in the cart, will you carry this for me? She hands him the large bag. He cannot resist the challenge of carrying something that takes all of his coordination and attention to walk, carrying the huge bag. His mother helps guide him when it seems he might walk into someone or something. She does the rest of her shopping as efficiently as she can. Bodhi is content with the challenge of carrying the bag of oat cereal. When they reach the checkout stand, Bodhi does not want to let go of the cereal bag so it can be checked through on the laser. His mother lifts him up so the cashier can scan the bag. He does not let go of the bag until he gets home. His mother spreads out a clean sheet for him to work on and lets him scoop the cereal into a large metal container. Then he wants to scoop it back into the bag again, but this would take Marta's help as the bag is too flimsy to stand on its own. She would have to stop her work, and she really does not want to do this. Marta gets out a huge metal bowl and offers that to him for his scooping. That is satisfactory. He scoops from from the container to the bowl and back again, repeating and repeating his chosen work. And Marta gets her work done in plenty of time. Okay, that's it for today. I wanted to share the affiliate program I'm starting, but I guess I'll have to do that in other ways. I hope you have a great week and use the one rule, having the one